Stephanie, a young promising beautiful lady, moved to Lagos with a heart full of aspirations and a clear vision for her future. She had managed to find a small apartment in a peaceful estate, where the surroundings were well kept and the atmosphere was calm. Her new place was small but inviting, and she was eager to turn it into a comfortable and welcoming home. After years of careful saving and hard work, she used her savings to pay for the apartment. This achievement filled her with pride and a sense of self-reliance as she embarked on this new chapter of her life. On her very first night in the new apartment, Stephanie was abruptly woken from her sleep by the loud and persistent thumping of music coming from the neighboring apartment. The bass was so intense that it felt like it was shaking the walls. She groaned in frustration and tried to block out the noise by burying her head under her pillow, but the sound continued unabated. The source of the disturbance was her neighbor, Jerry, a man in his mid-30s. He had a clear fondness for playing loud music and hosting boisterous gatherings. His lifestyle was the complete opposite of Stephanie's preference for a calm and orderly life. While Stephanie valued peace and quiet, Jerry seemed to revel in the noise, constantly inviting friends over and blasting music at high volumes. To Stephanie, this seemed like a reckless way of living, far removed from her desire for a serene and organized environment. Despite Stephanie's determined efforts to ignore the noise, the loud sounds from Jerry's apartment seemed to seep through the thin walls and invade her peaceful space. She tried to address the issue with Jerry on several occasions, hoping he would understand her predicament. However, each time she approached him, the conversation turned into a heated argument. Jerry often brushed off her concerns with a casual wave of his hand, arguing that he had every right to live his life as he pleased. This response only frustrated Stephanie further, as she felt increasingly overwhelmed by the constant noise. Each night of interrupted sleep took a toll on her, making her feel as though her sanity was slowly eroding away. The constant disturbance left her feeling helpless and worn out, unable to find relief from the relentless noise. One particularly sweltering and sticky evening, Stephanie was feeling completely exasperated. She had an important presentation scheduled for the next day and was in desperate need of a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, as she had feared, Jerry's music was blaring through the walls at an unbearable volume, making it impossible for her to get any rest. Frustrated and at her limit, she marched over to Jerry's apartment with a determined stride. She pounded on his door with force, hoping to get his attention. When Jerry finally answered, their encounter quickly escalated into another heated argument. Despite Stephanie's earnest pleas for quiet, Jerry, with his usual nonchalant attitude, assured her that he would lower the music. However, his promises proved empty as the volume remained just as loud, leaving Stephanie no closer to the peace she so desperately needed. As weeks went by, the tension between Stephanie and Jerry only grew worse. Their interactions became increasingly strained, and Stephanie began to avoid him as much as she could. Despite her efforts to stay out of his way, the relentless noise from his apartment continued to irritate her. One evening, while she was in the middle of preparing dinner, her mind was preoccupied with thoughts of another inevitable confrontation with Jerry. In her distraction, she accidentally left a dish towel too close to the gas cooker. Without realizing it, she didn't notice that the towel had started to smolder and then catch fire. The flames gradually grew, and the smoke began to fill the kitchen, while Stephanie remained unaware, caught up in her frustrations and the noise that had been a constant thorn in her side. The fire spread rapidly, quickly consuming the small kitchen in intense, roaring flames. Stephanie was overwhelmed by panic and desperation as she tried to put out the fire by throwing water at it, but her efforts were in vain. The flames grew fiercer, and thick, choking smoke filled the room, making it difficult for her to breathe. Realizing that she was trapped and unable to escape, she felt a wave of hopelessness wash over her. Just as she was about to give up, Jerry suddenly appeared at the door. He had seen the smoke and, without hesitating for a moment, ran straight into the burning apartment. Driven by a sense of urgency and concern, he moved quickly to help Stephanie. Jerry acted quickly to save Stephanie. He grabbed a wet cloth and covered his face to shield himself from the smoke and heat. Braving the intense flames, he made his way through the burning kitchen to reach Stephanie. With a sense of urgency, he lifted her into his arms, carefully maneuvering through the fire while coughing and gasping for air. As he carried her to safety, the fire department arrived on the scene. The firefighters worked diligently to put out the blaze, but by the time they had extinguished the flames, Stephanie's apartment had already suffered significant damage. Overwhelmed with gratitude and still shaken from the ordeal, Stephanie thanked Jerry sincerely for saving her life. She was deeply moved, realizing that despite their previous arguments and differences, Jerry had put his own safety at risk to rescue her from the fire. This act of bravery made her see him in a new light. As she reflected on the situation, it became clear that their relationship was shifting. Jerry, now carrying a sense of responsibility and possibly a new respect for Stephanie, began to reconsider the way he lived his life. He started to reflect on his actions and how they affected others, especially Stephanie, which prompted him to think about making changes in his own behavior and lifestyle. Stephanie, on her part, began to recognize a new side of Jerry that she had previously missed. She saw that he was caring and protective, traits that had been overshadowed by their frequent arguments. As they spent more time together, they started sharing meals and engaging in meaningful conversations about their lives. This new connection allowed them to understand each other better. Jerry, realizing the impact of his actions on Stephanie, gradually started to reduce the frequency and volume of his parties and loud music. He made an effort to create a quieter and more peaceful environment, hoping to make their living situation more comfortable and harmonious for Stephanie. As time went by, Stephanie and Jerry's friendship grew stronger. Stephanie found herself eagerly anticipating their conversations, enjoying the time they spent talking and connecting on a deeper level. Jerry, in response, began to appreciate Stephanie's company and value her thoughts and perspectives more. He stopped his habit of bringing different women home every night and instead focused on developing a genuine and meaningful relationship with Stephanie. This shift in his behavior showed his commitment to building a more stable and significant bond with her. As their relationship continued to evolve, Stephanie and Jerry grew closer, and it became clear that their feelings for each other had deepened into love. This newfound affection was apparent to everyone around them. Jerry had made noticeable changes in his life, shifting from his previously reckless and chaotic lifestyle to a more thoughtful and caring approach, all inspired by his relationship with Stephanie. They decided to take the next step and move in together. In their new shared home, they worked to create an environment that was peaceful and loving, filled with mutual respect and understanding. This new chapter marked a significant transformation for both of them, establishing a nurturing and supportive relationship that they both cherished. Stephanie's time in Lagos had unfolded in ways she hadn't anticipated. What started as a frustrating experience with a noisy neighbor turned into a profound and unexpected journey of love. She found herself falling for Jerry, someone she had initially found irritating and difficult. Over time, Jerry evolved from being a source of annoyance and conflict into a central figure in her life, someone she could no longer imagine being without. As they navigated the ups and downs of city life together, their relationship grew stronger. Their shared experiences and deep connection created a future filled with promise and hope, with their hearts joined and their outlooks aligned.